It is Wednesday night once again, and this is the Wednesday night mouse party. So far, I'm all alone. So we'll see if anybody else joins us here. We'll stall a little bit. Pinned in the chat is a link for this week's poll. So if you haven't voted in the poll, head over there and vote in the poll. And all right. So far, Mr. Bob Dabalina said the Three Aces chat, 111. I was thinking maybe the Seventh Frame Outhouse. But in G23, saying hurricane issues. Not here. We're far away from the hurricane. Hopefully everybody's all right out there on the East Coast. But yeah. So once again, the overnight we're going to do a giveaway 2 more chats. So I think it's on when we hit 100. So I think it was 2 more chats, and we'll give away some stuff, patches and stickers. Oop, there we go. And some stickers and stuff. And I'll probably give away one of my Damascus knives. One that I found that I forgot I had. So I might as well give it away because I didn't even remember I had it. So apparently I'm not enjoying it. G23 is asking, do you have a holster for your non-dominant hand? I do not. Something I never even really thought about doing. It's a holster for a non-dominant hand. I suppose if my right hand were to be injured, then I would think about it. Oh. So I guess we can look at the poll while we're waiting to kind of see if anybody else jumps in tonight. Let me bring her up. And tonight's poll was which came first, the chicken or the egg? And the choices were the chicken. You can't have an egg without a chicken. The egg. You can't have a chicken without an egg. Or the question is moot. we're trapped in a machine simulation. Where the question is moot, we're a fever dream of a higher intelligence. And that one took it 41%. And tied at 22% was the chicken. And we're trapped in a machine simulation. And 15% for the egg. And looking at the comments, FUKUYT Mark 6 looks like we're stuck in a time loop. Black Cat Outdoors, a shit ton of things laid eggs before there were chickens. Eggs, therefore, predate chickens. Night Strike said we're in the Matrix. Vion Noel said most of you people watch way too many sci-fi movies. Vanessa Kitty said eggs are way back in the evolutionary chain. I kind of always took that, rather than being the chicken, which came first, chicken or any egg, as chicken or a chicken egg. King Henry 47's out there. Good evening. So I don't know. That's just, I always thought about it that way, but I don't always think about things the right way, I guess. Let me. G23 said, I got a non-dominant hand holster because I always say that you should practice non-dominant hand. I do think about that, but then never practice. That I don't practice enough non-dominant. I mean, just once in a blue moon. How's it going, G Webs?
Fair to mention. Thanks for hosting.
I appreciate you showing up. Because this would have been a short, very boring chat.
What are we chatting about?
I basically just kind of stalling until somebody else came in. I am not good on by myself.
I hear that. It's definitely boring.
Yeah.
G23 saying, do you have a holster for your non-dominant hand? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. I don't. I had never thought about doing that.
What happens if you hurt your hand?
Well, that's what I was saying, that I hadn't thought about that. And I guess if I had hurt my hand, then I would look to switch. I don't know. Do you have a holster for your non-dominant hand?
Technically, yeah. It's not like I, care. But I had, before I heard the theory, I had them. But the idea would be that, like after you've already, had something happen to your hand or whatever, then it's kind of lame to give yourself the task of now having to go find a holster and all that. So essentially, you just find the one you like, and by the other side, the left-handed version or the right-handed version or whatever is the opposite for you, and then you just have it. And then, like how many things do we have that we don't really need that we just have, and then you just kind of have it in your inventory of stuff. And then if you ever need it, it's pretty simple to just go grab it out of your bin or whatever, your drawer, and swap out the holster. But I'd say it's probably just as good to intentionally switch it out and carry the other way once in a while. Just like you might do anything to prepare for, your non-typical way of dealing with stuff.
Yeah, and I was saying I don't practice my non-dominant hand.
I'll be right back. I gotta get some water.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've shot with my left. Couldn't tell you how long it's been. Which probably means that I need to. I will do it while I'm dry firing. The little bit of dry fire practice that I'll do, but not live fire. But kind of anymore, I don't really go to the range to practice. I'll go to the range to shoot videos and then shoot while I'm shooting videos. Kind of rush down, shoot, but not really practice. It's probably a bad thing.
What's a bad thing?
Oh, that I don't go to the range to practice anymore, really. I go down to while I'm shooting videos, and I'll shoot while I'm shooting a video, but I'm not there, practicing.
Well, if it's any consolation, practicing, what do you call it? If you haven't done anything to practice, then you're just pulling triggers. So it's not like people that go to the range all the time are like accomplishing anything other than being like familiar with your item, which is definitely worthwhile. But I wouldn't be too worried about it. I don't know. I think that being comfortable with the gun in this case is, I don't know what the percentage is, but it's certainly a percentage of the fight. You know what I mean? Like you can, oh man, how do you say it? Like you can know how to bake a cake. It doesn't mean you can bake a cake. You can know how to paint a picture, but you can know how to paint a picture doesn't mean you can paint a picture. But somebody who's comfortable with a canvas and a paintbrushes and paint is going to end up painting pictures better than someone who's real stiff and concerned and worried about everything and theoretically knows how to paint but is all worried about it. Learned about how to paint, read about how to paint, but never actually picked up a paintbrush. It's just like anything. You can think of people that drive, people that spend a lot of time thinking about driving, and then people that actually just drive. And after a while, you don't have to know everything about the car. You don't have to know everything about like driver's license tests or whatever, but you can drive pretty darn good. So it's kind of like that with anything. So I'd say that being fairly comfortable and familiar with the thing, you're going to be pretty competent with it, no matter what's expected out of you. But if you're, I don't know if you're picking up what I'm laying down here. I'm trying to say.
No, I got you.
But I don't want to say, on the other hand, that you don't have to do anything. That you'll just, when you need it, you'll know it. I'm not trying to say that either. I'm just trying to say that being competent is being comfortable, or being comfortable is a big chunk of being competent. Competent, not confident. People can be overconfident for sure. So anyway, I think that people that have gone to classes or whatever, there's a bunch of people that hate training, right? But if you've gone to a class, a good instructor is going to coach and give you instruction, right? And your coaching is like giving you feedback on your existing performance, like your abilities. They're going to give you honest feedback from their insight of knowledge, right? Like you're doing this wrong. You're not using your muscles here. You can draw faster or whatever. They're going to give you these tips. But then they're also going to give you drills, essentially, like techniques and things you can use to practice. So then I could say going to the range is more like a practice, right? Like you've got some drills to do. You've got some thing to work on. You're trying to, start taking apart your draw into presentation and, draw and fire. So you've got your presentation and your sight alignment and then your decision to fire. Oh, I just noticed this is goofy. I don't know if that's any better, but
that's better.
So let's say
there's different instructors. I'm just always use this as example. Chris Costa, if anybody remembers that guy from the Magpul videos, his theory, I guess, or his philosophy, I guess, better word, in his technique when he would train something, because anybody can train you to shoot. He would say, you've got 2 seconds to make the shot. So if you can get yourself into a shooting position in a half a second, then you have a second and a half to aim. But on the other side around, if it takes you a second and a half to get into your position to shoot, then you only have a half a second to make, to get all the rest of the shot together. So he said, let's be explosive. Let's get into a shooting position as fast as possible. And then, if we only have that 2 seconds or whatever amount of time we're going to have, let's use the majority of it on sight picture. So, that's what most people need is, to help with getting the sight picture in. So he would do, let's say, for people that are healthy and can do it, he would do a thing where you sort of drop, like you ever see anybody drop to your knees for real? Like anybody can drop to their knees, but like people that are instructed to drop to their knees. If you look at different theories on that, some people will take your rifle, let's say, and throw the butt of the rifle down to the ground, and you'll throw all your weight into the butt of your rifle, then your knees, and then the rest of you falls down, if you can imagine. And then another option would be drop to your knees and then drop your rifle and then fall into position behind it. You know what I mean? Like there's a slight difference there. So he would say, I don't care how you're going to do it, but let's get into position. Just think about getting into position in that half a second so that you have all this time in the world to aim. And just with that difference in mental theory or that, strategy or whatever, everything he talks about, handgun, rifle, and whatever, is about that. And other people think other things are more important, or think that maybe both things are as important. So they're not going to get worried about splitting that hair. Anyway, so I'm going off on a tangent, but I think that, specific tangent, but I think that's the kind of thing. You go to a class, you get introduced to this concept, and then you go to the range and you try to apply that. And that's less practice, I guess, as much as like, maybe it's called practice. I don't know what to call it, but you're actually working at an objective there. You've got something in mind that you're trying to do, rather than just put paper or holes on paper. Because I think 99% of people think that you go to the range and you try to put holes next to each other or inside of each other, right? Like that's marksmanship is like the goal of most people. And you go into a lot of classes and they'll tell you they'd rather have you hit all over a grapefruit than into one hole, because just, I don't know, like I said, it's sort of a different theory or philosophy on the whole thing.
My goal is always a group within this size, because this will cover, about center mass. It would be nice if I could put them in every hole, but as long as I'm getting about my hand size, then I'll be happy.
So I hear that, and I'm not trying to be a dick, but since we're sitting here talking or whatever, when you're sitting there standing there just confronting a thing, square range, they'll call it, where nothing else, there's no variables at all, you're super happy. If you can't get it into a ragged hole, then when you're actually moving and stuff is chaos, that's when, a ragged hole turns into a grapefruit with all the stuff in the world. A grapefruit turns into a torso. So anyway, that's all I'm saying. Like a lot of people say you want to learn that ragged hole. In other words, get everything into a big ragged hole instead of, you shoot the first round and then the next round should be touching it and then touching it and touching it and then eventually falling into that same hole. So that when you're, horrible on your, back and everything's backwards and everything's upside down, everything's happened so fast.
And G23 said, if you don't have it, he's talking about the offhand holster, the non-dominant hand holster, and get hurt, then you need your firearm. What then? I probably just hold it in your hand while you're walking around.
Mm-hmm. Tie strings to it.
Open carry is legal in Washington. So
duct tape it to your back, like in the one movie.
Yippee-ki-yay.
Yep.
Camera Snob. Vulcan Rumble. Good evening. Good evening. He said egg first, and that's this week's poll. Which came first, chicken or the egg?
So it was just an egg laying there. The egg squirted out of something, or it just happened. An egg just happened. Doesn't make any sense.
I watched. Have you watched Reservation Dogs? So it's a TV show.
Sounds familiar.
I really liked it. It's kind of centered around 4 kids. They're kind of senior high school age on a reservation in Oklahoma.
DOWG. Or wait,
DOGZ, I think. Can't remember if it's S or Z, but Reservation Dogs.
The movie or a cartoon?
It's a TV show.
Oh, no, I guess not.
But
How long was it on?
It's real recent.
3 seasons.
Yeah.
21 to 23. So now
The pacing is a little bit slow, but I'm okay with that. And there's a little bit of wokeness in there, but it's well worth overlooking, I think, because it kind of looks at the 4 kids, and there was a 5th kid who was kind of all of them looked up to, but had committed suicide. So it's them dealing with losing him, and his dream was to go to California, which became their dream, all to go to California. So they're trying to get money, they're doing bad things to get money to go to California, and kind of their maturation and learning what it is to be a part of their tribe and community. And I think they do a really good job at wrapping it up in the end, and it all kind of makes sense.
The Muskogee.
It could be. I don't remember exactly.
That's what it says. At least they're in Muskogee Nation for the video for the movie.
Yeah. And there's some humor and there's some touching parts, and not physically touching, but emotionally touching. But I really liked it. I think it's worth checking out. Mr. Bob said he saw it on Streamer.
I don't know anybody from Oklahoma. Most people I know that are native have been Wyoming or Arizona, but mostly I've known people that were either my age when I was young, like in college age, I guess, or right after this era, this kind of age, or else, now I've known everybody that's older, so I don't know, and I've never known any kids, or I wasn't around any reservations when I was a kid, I guess. So that'd be interesting.
There's a bunch out here, but I don't think I knew anybody that lived on the reservation. And the only time we'd go is to buy fireworks, because you could buy the good fireworks there.
Yeah. I don't know where you're at. Do the reservations get what do they call it, a stipend or whatever for anything, for like land rights or resources or minerals or a casino or something?
I'm not sure. I know there are a few casinos.
The native people I've known have either had casinos or mineral rights or water rights or something, so that they've got money coming, and that fucks with people when you've got money.
Oh, it definitely does. I have a friend that's a teacher, and he taught. I don't remember. I think it's the same one that Woods teaches for, but he doesn't teach there anymore. But when the kids hit a certain age, then they get money, and basically once they got the money, they were gone. And
You mean
he
they
had
leave the tribe, then the nation or whatever? They leave the place?
no, they leave school.
Oh yeah. That's yeah, for sure. They just hang out and sit around.
And he had a student tell him that their dad told them, once they get their money, then they can
They're
quit
adults and
school.
do what they want. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, to some extent, it's school's job to not be like, you got to be here, so therefore be here. Make it useful, make it interesting for kids, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be a game or whatever, right? You can make it interesting.
Yeah,
and make
he
it
kind of
learning how to be
struggled
an
with
adult.
that because he went to his bosses and he's like, wow, the kids are basically disappearing and they don't care. And I'm not sure what to do. And they pretty much told him, well, I guess this job isn't the job for you. So he moved to a different school district.
Who's Griselda? Is that somebody on the show?
Well, it's his girlfriend. But Auntie Griselda, it's from a song, Auntie Griselda by the Monkees, which
Oh.
Bob Dabalina is also a song from the Monkees.
So I've been to Choctaw Nation before, I think. Pretty interesting place. Problem is, I don't think many of those tribes were from that area. That was just where they crammed everybody when they were being quote unquote nice and not destroying them. They put them in the Indian Nations, which was Oklahoma. So they walked them from all over the fucking place. And I only know the walk from Arizona with the Apaches because it was, the Trail of Tears and all that. It was pretty heinous. But the Florida and I think others had to do similar stuff if they didn't. What's that called? A climate? Not something. I don't know what the words were when they would tell a tribe, like, hey, you either start doing what we tell you, like our religion and blah, 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 or, we're going to go to war or whatever. So the ones that were like, okay, that's cool. A lot of them, they got walked to Oklahoma, right? Sometimes they got to stay where they're at, but much smaller, land. But anyway, I don't know about Choctaw's history, where they come from.
There's a little bit of that in the Reservation Dogs.
Yeah, that's got to be weird being from modern day Oklahoma, knowing all of that history. But at the same time, I can understand people being like, well, fuck you. Like some of the people's theory was like, well, the whole world exists and I'm just going to own wherever I'm standing on. I'm like, okay, great. But guess what? Other people exist too. Like some of that super hippie ass shit doesn't work when there's other people in the world.
Yeah, and the Reservation Dogs, it's it would have to be like the 50s, 40s or 50s, probably 50s, where they're picking up kids to take them to. I don't know if it's like a Christian school, but I don't know. That's kind of a rough watch because they're kind of abusive to the kids, and I always struggle with. I hate stuff where the kids are suffering. But
is this a modern thing or is this from the olden days?
No, it's more modern.
What do you mean the 1950s then?
Yeah, they took them to a school to teach them. It's like an orphanage setup.
In the 1950s or now? What are you talking about?
In the 50s. That's when in the show. That's the show is modern day, but it's kind of a flashback.
Oh,
one of the characters. It's a flashback to when she was taken to the school.
I gotcha. Okay. Yeah, and that kind of shit, that's annoying, right? And you can imagine being a kid with all that, what's the word? Influence from, do what you're told, but also, you're not being taught what your grandparents were being taught or whatever. That's gotta be weird.
Gunmetal Guy USA is out there. But again, I thought they did a pretty good job of wrapping up all the loose ends at the end of the series. It was somewhat satisfying ending, I thought. A logical ending.
Is there only 3 episodes?
No, 3 seasons. I forget how many
season
episodes
3. I
per
got you.
season.
8, 10, and 10. It says.
Okay.
And then, since they have their own sovereign nations, they've got all kinds of issues with police and jurisdictions and law enforcement and what they can do and what they can get away with, I guess, and
Yeah.
it's horrible. Well, I don't know if it's horrible, but it's definitely a situation. And then each res is different, so it's not like, there must be some similarities, but I doubt that there's, one way to approach any of it. And then, like I say, some reservations, as soon as you get of age or whatever, boom, you're bringing in real money. You don't need to work again. And then other places, there's not even such a concept.
I have a friend that when he hit 18, his senior year of high school, he's a Flathead Indian.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I've heard
from
of them. I never
Montana.
known anybody. Interesting.
But he got a few thousand, I think, and he bought a Porsche.
Just once, not like every month.
I think it was a one-time payment. So he bought a Porsche. I think it was a 924. It was a cool car. Well, it was used. And one day we're driving. Well, I wasn't with him, but he's driving, and like one of the front wheels came off, went rolling down the road. If a tire detaches itself from your car, it goes faster than your car. Yeah, for kind of around here, there's the Nez Pierce who refused to go to the reservation, so they got chased around. There was a movie about it. I Will Fight No More Forever. That was a quote from Chief Joseph, who after they finally caught him, that he said, "I will fight no more forever." But he would. That was kind of southeastern Washington, but he would range all the way up into, I believe, up into Canada while he was running, because there was a relative tribe, and they got chased around for a little while, and the general that was chasing him actually knew him. Can't remember if it was Burns. I don't remember the general's name.
General from where?
U.S. As they showed us the movie when I was in grade school.
Oh, I missed something. I was getting a glass of water. So what happened? What movie are you talking about?
I Will Fight No More Forever. It was from the 80s.
Oh, sounds familiar. I Will Fight No More Forever.
Yeah. Miles. It was General Miles. It's a general that was chasing him. Oh, I guess it was from 75.
I don't know if I've seen that one.
Oh, kind of in the third season. I'm not sure if they're in the second season, but there's Graham Greene, who's a Native American actor. It's really good, and Wes Tootie, who's also a really good actor. They kind of show up later.
$200 a month. Oh my goodness. Don't get spoiled. But I guess it's better than nothing.
Oh. Ozzy Osbourne's out there. Good evening.
I was posting stuff because it's Prime. Well, it would have been Prime days. That's why Gizzard is sleeping, because he's tired from Prime days. Takes a lot out of us. But
Well, he's getting up there in age, so
we get paid a bunch. Amazon pays him $200 a month because of his old age. Anyway, we get paid more or something. You know, there's sales and stuff, so they try to get us to make a bunch of things. So anyway, I was trying to put stuff out there, let people know about it. And so I typed in pocket knives and then did most popular with the sale today. And guess what? It came up with a bunch of knives or whatever that are on sale. And then it came up with, they call it an EDC organizer. So it's, think of a knife sheath made out of leather for a knife, pocket knife. Right? So you've got your pouch and you got your snap flap on the top. But then you make it so that it can hold a pen also next to the knife. So you put a little loop of leather and now it can hold a pen. But then on the other side, it can hold a bigger thing, maybe like a wrench or something. And then they put like another pocket on it and then another little pouchy thing. So it turned out to be about the size of 3 knife pouches stuck together if they were side by side. But it was other things like loops and other little ways to hold a bunch of different things, like probably your keys and, you know, a light and pen and your flashlight. So it's like an EDC leather thing you put on your belt. So Ozzy's in here asking him, has he ever thought about making anything like that? That's kind of a man purse pouch thing, like a, you know, a thing to hold more than one thing. And then the question for everybody else and you, would you wear something like that? Put it on your belt and wear. You ever seen like what paramedics wear? Like that's where I started seeing it, is when I was a kid, watching paramedics carry.
Is it kind of like med pack size?
No, it's like I say, it's about this particular thing I seen. You know, they're all different. It's just how the person creates it. It was about the size. It was pretty big. It was like the size of 3 knife pouches next to each other. So it took up some space on your belt. Paramedics usually have like a pen. Usually, because a paramedic needs that light, you need to be able to check people's, their pupils dilations. So you're going to bring out a light and see how people's eyes travel and stuff. So you really need a light next to you all the time when you're a paramedic. And they'll also put some other things on there, like clamps and what else is usually on there? Oh, those EMT scissors, right? Like for cutting pants and stuff open.
Yeah, the shears.
The shears. So you know, there's a couple of 3 things that you're going to carry around as a paramedic, and those are usually pretty consistent at this point. Sometimes they hold tape or some other things, but
anyway, something like this.
Yeah. See how that one has like more going on, and you could do something besides the knife in front. You know, you could put something else on there, and if you had like a Sharpie or something, you might put it on there. But anyway, those kind of things. And then, because the thing is, if you're into that, 1, they're super easy to make out of leather, and then 2, there's like no end to the ways you could, you know, adapt that or change that or whatever.
Customizable.
Yeah. But that's almost like what I was thinking. They link to something very similar to that.
I wouldn't. I don't like that much bulk on me. I don't. I'm a
What if it was?
minimalist.
You've ever seen Whisper material? It's
I don't know.
essentially real heavy canvas. It's impregnated with rubber, so it's like they iron rubber right into the material. So it's a very heavy. It's essentially like a heavy. I'm trying to think of what else is what's made out of it. Boots and the backpacks are made out of it often. But anyway, it's like but if it was a strong material that was super thin and lightweight. So essentially, you'd be carrying all that gear, but almost no bulk from the material. It wouldn't change your mind. You don't want that much stuff on your belt.
No.
Because the light and the tool and the knife and all the other stuff are still going to have weight. Like you put them all together, they're still going to pull on you.
As I have my gun inside waistband, my keys, and then my keys. I have a little. It's almost like a multi-tool thing. It's the shape of a key, but splits open. So there's a blade on one side, screwdriver, and then like bottle opener. But it's the size of a
on
key.
your key ring.
Yeah. It clips onto your key ring. And then a little flashlight, little mini flashlight on my keys and my phone.
But do you put your keys on your belt like a janitor?
Nope. Put them in my pocket.
Yeah, me too. I've thought about having a hook. Like when I've worked at restaurants and stuff, and I had like 17 stores worth of keys. Like I wasn't going to carry those around. I put those on.
Yeah.
And carry them around. But realistically, like I don't like having something make noise and dangle around.
No, that's the reason I will never have one of those is the jingle jangle when you walk. I used to have a ton of keys, but it was, a few safe keys. When I had my 2 motorcycles, I had actually 3 keys for the motorcycles. 2 car keys. I think a couple of house keys. And then like mailbox keys. I had a lot of keys. And have worked to pare some of that down. I still kind of have a bunch of keys. And then with the car keys with the fob built in, then you've got that bulk. Because I've got both, for both cars. But yeah, overall, I don't like to carry a lot of stuff.
Do you work at a place where they have groceries and stuff? Do you know what kind of keys you should never use with bananas?
Monkeys?
Yes, monkeys. Because they'll eat the bananas.
Yeah. Oh, have you watched any movies? Oh, I sent you a video.
Watch the shit out of movies. You kidding? Where'd you send me a video at?
Email.
Oh, hold on. Oh, wait, you mean a video? I think I did see that. I tried to download it on my phone when I was doing stuff, and then I totally forgot about it. I need to go back and grab that one. Thanks. I think I was in the middle of doing videos when I seen that come in, and then I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." And I went to download it, and I don't know how to download stuff on my phone, evidently.
Yeah, when I looked at the reviews, and I only saw like one other video, so I figured.
Yeah, right on. Thanks. Now I see what it is. I thought it was something different. I thought it was like for a sewing machine when I seen just the name. Yeah, right on. I don't have that computer on that I watch my movies on, but what the heck have I been watching? There's new movies out, so I watch those. I forgot what all the new movies are. There's, I think, only one that I haven't seen yet. Some of them are okay. Let me go look at what the new movies are. So I always got to turn my computer on.
I don't think I've been watching TV shows like, the Reservation Dogs and.
Where'd you hear about that one?
Well, I had seen commercials for it, and the little clips I saw because there's a spirit guide kind of at the beginning of the series, and then he shows up throughout the series. But his part, he's pretty funny. So that kind of got me interested. But it was on Hulu, and I didn't at the time. I didn't have Hulu. I have Hulu now. So I decided to watch it. But and watched a bunch of Green Acres because it was Roku had it for free.
I don't know if I could do that. I think the last time I tried to watch it, I was like, nope. I don't remember loving Green Acres ever, but it was one of those, like it was up against Gem or something, so it wasn't, I was not going to watch the other thing.
I know, I like it, and I like that they make fun of themselves.
Was it made for kids or was it made for?
No,
adults?
It's made for adults.
Okay.
It's basically a spin. It's almost like a spin-off of Petticoat Junction.
Well, it definitely is. That there's 3 shows that were made at the same time in the same place. I've seen a thing about it. I mean, I knew they were together, but I didn't realize they were all. There was like a square block or whatever, in whatever that studio was, and I guess these studios own more than one location. Like they weren't just all in one spot. So the spot that they filmed it at, like you say, was Petticoat Junction. What was the other one? Green Acres and something else. And they shared the train station and something else and something else. And the thing I was watching was where was Green Acres filmed? And they were looking for the farm in California today. And then they showed where everything was filmed there. What was the other one? I think I watched the other one more.
I know you've mentioned it before, and I think it was one I didn't watch.
Here we go.
I
watched Ninja Scroll. Have you ever seen Ninja Scroll?
Yeah, that's from the 80s.
Yeah, it's from, it says 1993. So that's a whole thing. Like, I didn't realize I was naming something.
That must be a remake then, because the original was from the 80s.
Was it a movie or a show? This was the thing I'm watching was a movie.
It was a movie.
Oh, okay. Oh, maybe there's more than one. I just was sitting here minding my business, and I'm like, Ninja Scroll. I mean, I've used that as something before, totally unrelated. And I was like, oh, I didn't know it was a movie. No wonder everybody's looking at me funny if they think I'm like into anime because I had Ninja Scroll written on stuff. And like, I thought it was 2 words put together that had nothing in common. I didn't realize it was related to something. Anyway, so I watched that, and it was weird, and I didn't like it. It's too much going on. I couldn't keep up. Let's see.
Maybe it was from the 90s. I was thinking it was older.
Well, 93 is basically 80s. Considering how long ago that was. Well, there's a bunch of new ones up here. I tried watching the new Hellboy because I watched the thing about the guy who drew Hellboy, came up with Hellboy, and it didn't make me like Hellboy any better. Let's see. There's one called It's What's Inside. And that's a sci-fi movie. You have or have not?
No.
Sorry, I'd be surprised. It's a weird one. I can't think of the name of this other one. It's essentially a bunch of people from high school, let's say, get together much later, like they're in their 30s or something. They get together after high school, but they haven't been together since high school. And one of the guys has a job, and he brings this suitcase, essentially. And then, I don't think I'm spoiling anything. The suitcase lets people shift, let's say. So everybody connects with their electrodes, and then it shifts one person into another person's brain so that, like you get 12 people in a room and you shift everybody. And now everybody's in a different body for an amount of time. And at first they're just like, who are you? Who are you? And they try to figure it out. And then, of course, stuff happens, and then more stuff happens, and it becomes like a big thing. So it's one of those things, like if you dig it, if you like it, you're going to like it. But if you think it's stupid in the first place and it can't happen, you know, it's like, it's not science fiction. Like, this is some good science. Let's make a movie around it. It's like, we need some magic to happen so that we can make this movie. Let's say that a magic box that's made out of electric did it, you know, so now it's science fiction, but it could have just been a witch casting a spell, you know, and it would have gotten the same plot line across, or whatever that's called. So it was an okay movie, but it wasn't great science fiction. But it definitely gets interesting when you think of that concept of being able to, for temporarily shift kind of brains with somebody else, you know, consciousness with somebody else, put your consciousness into somebody else's body for a little while. Like, you know, just a fairly interesting movie about all that. And one of those things where you think you know what's happening, and then nope, they were really, you know, they were thinking about the plot. It wasn't as, you know, they kind of got you. Anyway, that one was, I don't know where, I don't think that was made by Netflix or anything like that. It was just somebody made it. And then Megalopolis. It's like Hamlet or something. It's like Shakespeare.
I know I've heard the title, but I don't remember what it was about. I have.
It's like it's Hamlet or something, but it's horrible. I mean, effing horrible. You know, like if there's a movie about the scaffolding, like above, I don't know, like some kind of a giant theater or playhouse or something, you know, like the scaffolding above it, and they'll have movies where they're all in the scaffolding, and it's like hanging like little hallways or what, little aisles hanging from the cords, hanging from the ceiling of someplace, but it's all suspended over, you know, some giant chasm. The whole beginning of the movie, they're walking around in a world that is all these walkways with cords, and they never tell you where they're hanging from or where they're over. You know, they're just living in a world of these walkways that are on cords, and it's just stupid. And then they don't sing, they do, what do they call that? Shakespeare lines, you know, it's like Shakespeare. So they'll say, "We're out there far warm, yo, let down your hair." I don't know whatever they say in Shakespeare, you know, but it's like Shakespeare words, and it's the Hamlet or something. So there's parts of it that we've all heard a million times from, you know, watching plays. It's horrible. Like, I don't know who would make that. It's I think back in the old days they would call it a tax shelter. Like a bunch of rich people needed to lose money or like buffer money from being taxed, so they'd lose money strategically. That's what it seems like. It seems like a bunch of people got together and knew how to make a movie. So they're like, well, shit, we need to burn millions of dollars so we don't get taxed on these trillions of dollars. Let's make a shitty movie and nobody will care. And yeah, pretty horrible. I watched War of the Worlds Extinction, which is nothing like War of the Worlds. It's a horrible movie with, who's that guy that shot his director and he got away with it?
Baldwin.
It's his brother. So it's a horrible movie with his brother in it. His brother isn't as bad as him, but you can tell he's his brother because they look so much the same. So it reminded me of his brother the whole time. It was annoying. Then I watched Silent Live, the new Silent Live movie from this year. I don't know if you've ever watched Silent Live, if you got any interest in watching that one. It's about the first Silent Live show ever from in the 70s, but it's fake. You know, it's like actors playing young John Belushi and young Dan Aykroyd and young everybody else. And it's one of these, it's an art movie. Like I'm pretty sure now that I think about it, it's one of those kind of, you know how you see a movie and there's like a scene where they don't cut, like the camera never shuts off, it's just constantly moving. I think the whole movie is one scene. Like, it's just the camera starts and it's kind of about the Lauren Green guy, but it's really about everybody, and the camera just never stops for however long it is, an hour and a half. And I'm not going to say it's good. I think it had the potential to be good, but I don't like Silent Live anymore, and I don't know. It was not as interesting as it could have been, I think. Let me see if I see anything else. I feel like I've seen other movies. Oh, Wolves. That is man, what's that guy's name? The one guy who always is in the Ocean's 11 movies, and then Brad Pitt.
Oh,
And they're like good friends, like in real life.
yeah.
So those guys are both. Oh, they're the kind of people that come in after you murder somebody and you're in the mob, and they come in and clean the house. You leave, and then they clean the house for you. Make sure that you don't get arrested. They're two dudes like that are old, and then they get, like a mystery, like a thriller or whatever. It's okay. It's definitely those two dudes had nothing
George
else.
Clooney.
George Clooney, yeah. Like him and his friend had nothing else to do. They're best friends. They know how to make a movie. They can make a movie in their sleep. So they're like, oh yeah, let's make a movie tonight. Like it was that kind of movie. Oh, I just found one called Broken Lance that I haven't seen that I'm going to have to watch because it looks like some kind of mech of something. Some kind of mechanized. Oh, here's another one. Iron Within. Where'd these come from?
I guess
Oh,
I
Lost
have
in
no.
the Shuffle. Did I already tell you about Lost in the Shuffle, the movie about cards? Or wait, is that the
No.
movie? No, that's not the movie. I watched a movie about magic, and it turned out to be about cards. I thought I told you about it. And then the king, the Suicide King, who's the
Oh
king
yeah,
of
yeah.
Hearts,
You
it's his,
mentioned that.
it's his wife, the Queen of Hearts, that's stabbing him. Like that's super neat. But I guess that was last week. I think it's already back to last week. There hasn't been a ton of stuff on, so I've been the same way, like looking at other things to watch or whatever. I haven't been watching a ton of stuff, but I've had some boring stuff to do, so I did have the movies on for a while.
I guess I have no real concept of time because I swore that Ninja Scroll was from the 80s, and then when I was looking up other anime movies, The Cat Returns was 2002, and that was another one where I swear that was from like the 80s.
Well, I still say the early 90s were basically the 80s. We didn't know it was the 90s until about 94, I figure, depending on what you're talking about.
Because I thought I had watched it before I met my wife, but if it was 2002, it was after we were married. I don't know. I used
There's
to get
probably
myself in.
similar movies that you see, and then you watch the later one, and it's better, and that's the one that registers. Maybe something.
Well, I early on in our marriage, I would get myself in trouble because I would mention movies and say, "Oh, when we saw this or that," and she'd say, well, "You didn't watch that with me." So it was a girlfriend before her, but I kind of mixed up when it was. So I don't do that. I don't mention saying stuff with her from early on because of that now.
So there's an IMAX movie about somebody in a flight suit, those bird things that you got like arms and wings. So would you watch an IMAX movie on a regular television? I don't know if it's worth it.
I don't know. I've never watched the IMAX movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I don't know if it was IMAX. When I was a little kid, there was a giant theater like that. So I've seen a couple of the movies where you sit like essentially up and down, like the person in front of you is by your feet and the person behind you, you're by their feet. But the movie theaters are so big, they're in your peripherals. It's an experience. The thing I've seen was like dolphins or fish or something. So it was like kind of neat, but I don't really care about being underwater. So it wasn't amazing. I would have rather watched somebody fly around, I think.
There's an IMAX theater up in Seattle, but I don't like driving up to Seattle.
Yeah. Especially if you sit there and pay a lot of money to sit there, right? Like kind of a waste of time.
They have done God, it was like I don't remember what movie, but they've done movies like Star Wars or something, at the IMAX.
That's what I would have think I could handle, but I don't know. Maybe it would be lame on a giant screen. It's kind of like sitting at the front of a regular movie theater, but normal movies, there's too much shit going on, so you go nuts trying to look back and forth. With the IMAX, you're swimming around with the dolphins. Like, there's a lot of things to look at, but you can look in any one direction and be amazed. You don't have to look all around to see everything, kind of thing. You're not missing any plot.
Back in the 90s, I went to a theater in Spokane. It was kind of dome shaped, so the screen was curved. Saw The Fugitive there. It was, I don't know, I didn't really like it.
Because they talked shit about guns that weren't Glocks?
No. The experience. I didn't like the curved screen.
Yeah, like I say, if you're trying to watch a real movie, I think that'd be a pain in the ass because you're going to miss things. Like, literally, like, you can't see it because it's happening so far away from you on the screen. Like, you're just not going to see it.
No, I was out there. That was back when I had my bug, and I had an uncle that used to have a VW shop, Spokane. So we drove out there so I could get a pair of heads from him. And I was with my mom, and
talking about.
So I'm like, so we're out in Spokane. I'm like, hey, you want to go see a movie or something? Just kind of kill time. So we went to the Dome Theater.
Have you ever sat in the front row of a theater to see a regular movie?
Yeah, when I was a kid, but
I only did it like once or twice, and I was like, okay, this is horrible. Never doing this.
Yeah, my neck hurts.
That's what I felt like on those big ones, because you can't see the whole thing. I think maybe if somebody sat right in the center of the whole thing, but I think if I remember right, we were kind of top right, so I ended up kind of watching the stuff that was happening on the right side. Do you know the theater he's talking about?
Not offhand. I will say the Space Needle is not really worth the money. Probably in the 50s when it was the tall thing, but now that everything's tall, it's not really.
But can you go into other things that are tall and just look around? Like, just because they're tall doesn't mean you're letting you in.
I don't know. We did do that a few years ago, but it was not. It's just kind of eh. The Tokyo Tower was better because it's taller. But
is that in Seattle?
No, in Tokyo. There's across next to the Space Needle, there's also a museum that we didn't go into.
A needle museum, a museum of all kinds of needle history.
I can't remember if that's the Chihuly, the glass museum. It's next to the Space Needle.
Is Seattle known for glass?
Well, Chihuly, the artist.
Is that like decorative glass, or is that like light bulbs?
Well, here.
Or like Corning or something like that?
No, it's like squiggly artsy stuff.
Oh, okay.
See if there's exhibition. See if there's more pictures. But this kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. There's a bar. I don't know if it's the same guy, but those like things on the ceiling. There's a bar in Vegas that had a bunch of that stuff on the ceiling. And I'm like, that's interesting, but I feel like if it fell on you, it would kill you. And for as much time as I was looking up, it's like I'd rather not be walking underneath that much glass.
I don't know. He was kind of big 10, 20 years ago. He's got an eye patch and
I've only ever been in the top of a couple of buildings. I've been in some tall ones before. So, I mean, it's not like I'm trying to, and I'd have to go to Dubai or someplace to beat the record on tall buildings because we already have, we don't have that many tall buildings, I guess, in the United States. But I don't think you can care. Like, what's the difference? You're really just going up there to see the city or whatever, right? But anyway, I
Yeah.
haven't been that many tall buildings, except for if I had to go into a building to be somewhere for some reason and I looked out the window. And then I've never been anywhere that's on the top floors that I can think of. Or if I have, they were the top floors, like an 8-story building and a bunch of 20-story buildings are around it, so it wasn't that impressive, like you're saying. But anyway, it's not my thing to do. I don't like go to observation decks or whatever they're called. When I
Yeah,
went to
there's
the what is it in Memphis? Something. What's the name of that store? Bass Pro bought the pyramid that was made for sports in Memphis. So I went into there, and they have an elevator where you can go up the center to the top of the pyramid and look around. And I was definitely going to do that, but it was like $10 or $15 or $20 or something. It was too much. I was like, I would have definitely done it, but I was like, it was so much money that it would have bothered my cheapness or whatever to pay that much to go up a elevator.
the Space Needle odds for it's taller than I thought.
It seems more interesting because you go up there and there's like a restaurant and everything. Like, you can do what you want up there.
Yeah, there's a revolving restaurant.
That seems more interesting than, like, I've been in buildings and you can do what you want, but essentially you're looking at 4 sides of a building, down at the town that it's in. So having something like a restaurant or something to do up there, I could see that being appealing. Isn't that what's happening in Vegas? Isn't there a place in Vegas with a restaurant up top? The Needle there, Stratosphere.
Yeah.
And then, are those the only 2, or is there another one? San Antonio have something like that, or
I don't
Memphis
know.
or something? I think of another one from a movie, maybe, or maybe it is the one from.
Yeah, Ozzy said he was there in '79. The theater next to the Space Needle, and it had a massive curved screen.
Huh.
Yeah, I guess the Tokyo Tower observation deck is 490 and the Space Needle is 500 or 520. There's 2 observation decks on the Tokyo Tower, but it costs more to go to there's an 800 foot, but it costs more, so we didn't go up to the higher one.
Huh.
But when you're up there, all you see is city. Tokyo is a big city.
Oh, you mean you don't see the edges? Yeah,
No.
Every place I've been is like that. They should have one in the middle of Oklahoma City. I wonder if you'd see the edges of Oklahoma City. You probably wouldn't. I don't think you could get high enough to see the edges of most cities.
Oh, they could paint it gold or something. Store wigs in it.
That would be Memphis, right?
I don't remember where the Sun Tower
We were
is.
just talking about it the other day. Or no, not Memphis, Knoxville. I think we were talking about it because of the goals, I think.
Yeah.
Were you watching Gizzards' show earlier?
I'm partway through it.
I don't know when it fits in your schedule with the 2-person bracket or whatever, but I bought 8 different knives today. If you want to look at them, I can show them to you. They're sitting right here.
Yeah, that's where I stopped. Was you were kind of in the middle of showing your knives.
Yeah, my bin store had a pile of them. Every once in a while, they get like I think they don't get a whole bin, but they get like a whole pile of knives. And there's at least, because while I was waiting in line, some other guy was getting knives off of them too. And I was like, dang it, I should have, like, when I come in, it's always a debate. Do I go right to the knives or do I go screw around and look at all the bins and stuff? So I grabbed the cart and I started dicking around in the bins or whatever. And I figured the knives aren't going anywhere. I'll just go over there and look at the knives when I'm paying. And while I'm in line paying to pay, so like there was me, there was a lady in front of me, and then the lady in front of her, and then this guy. And he's over there checking out every knife in the store. I'm like, dang it. Like, I should have done the knives first. He's going to clear me out. but it looked like he was dicking around for the cheapest knife he could find. And by the time I got up there, it turns out they were like, "Oh, look, we saved a bunch for you." So they did get a bunch, but then they also save them for me to dig around in. So like all the good ones essentially, because they can tell the kind of stuff I'm looking for by now, I guess. So anyway, it's kind of fun to be able to dig around through a home milk crate full of probably broken, or most of them, not all broken, but some of them are broken. Some of them are different stages of being in a box or not. So it's just kind of fun, kind of like a garage sale, I guess. Like it's definitely not like going to a knife store,
Yeah.
But I got 2 new Moras, like kind of a ruggedized, strong Mora, and then another little tiny Mora, and then a new French knife, the Opinel, for some reason, I don't know why, and then some Civivis, an SE, some kind of a saw from Japan, like a folding saw. I got a bunch of
Yeah, that silky saw.
Yeah, you ever heard of
Yeah.
Jorgensen?
I used to know a Jorgensen.
Out of nowhere, Jorgensen contacted me. This happens whenever you start doing a bunch of reviews. So if you ever, like Travis must get contacted constantly. Remember Travis P111?
Yeah.
Or P11? Imagine he gets contacted constantly. But like me or Gizzard or anybody that's doing a lot of gear reviews, you'll start getting contacted by people. So out of nowhere, Jorgensen contacted me and they're like, "Hey, we got these saws. Do you want to review them?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to review them." So, Japanese pull saws.
Yeah.
Like 4 different Japanese pull saws, a giant one, a medium giant one, another little one, and a small one. I'm like, hell yeah, I'll review these. Those are my favorite saws, and I'm always too cheap to buy them. But ever since like This Old House, I think, or no, you know what it was? You ever watch This Old House? There was that other show. Norm or somebody did the Yankee Workshop.
Yeah.
That show was my show. Like This Old House was okay, but I was just killing time before Yankee Workshop was on. And then there was another one similar to that, but better. That was some guy in the olden days making stuff with olden days tools.
Yeah, that I used to love to watch that guy.
And that should have been called the Old Yankee Workshop because it was more like that, but it was something else. But you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. So this was remnant that back in those days, one of those guys used a Japanese pull saw, and I was like, well, that's it. I got to get one. Went to go get one back in the 80s, and it was like, oh, okay, it's from Japan. It's $1,000. So I never owned one. Actually, I did. Whenever like Harbor Freight had one, I grabbed one for
Woodwright Shop.
Yeah, that was a good show.
Yeah.
One of my first internet things was essentially the Woodwright Shop did a whole thing about the making a gun stock. And I took a bunch of pictures with my shitty digital camera of a VHS version of that. Like I recorded it and played it back and took a bunch of pictures. And that was one of my first internet projects, was like doing essentially a book review of that episode. And I've never seen that episode again. I wonder if I can find it on my place. I'm looking at it here. Let me go see if I can get it. It's called Woodwright Shop.
Yeah.
I bet that would be too cool to have it over here. I wonder if
you ever see the Router Workshop?
No.
It's a guy and his dad, and everything they do is with routers. And so they've got a table with the inset router, and they'll change them out, but it just takes a couple seconds, flip, and then they're routing again. It was entertaining to watch. Oh, and the Japanese saws, I saw why they cut on the pull instead of the push, like a Western saw.
Uh-huh.
It's an old guy sitting, and his workpiece is above him, so he's, you can't really push the cut if your piece you're cutting is above you, so you pull.
Well, I mean, they used to put their houses together without any nails. Like, I'm sure they used the shit out of saws for all that fine work.
Oh.
Yeah, I spelled it right. Yeah, that would have been too good to ask.
Sippy9898 is asking, have you shot the Beretta APX A1 carry yet? Yes, I have.
Did you do a video on that?
Yes, I did. it is hang on here. Let me go over to the YouTube studios. See when I've got them set to come out. Content. Because there's two. Well, I did a short of just shooting it, and then the short that came out yesterday, or of, I asked, do you like red dots on your pistols? And that's the APX A1 carry with the red dot on it. And the put out a video on the 7th of the carry, and then on the 21st there's a video with the Sig Romeo 0. That's the optic that I put on it. So I talk about the optic and then a little bit about the pistol and putting the optic on the pistol. It's a lot better with an optic on it than without. I didn't like it, but when I shot it with a red dot on it, it's a lot better. Still, I'm not a huge fan of the Micro 9s, and I will probably never carry it. I didn't buy it to be a carry gun. I bought it because I had bought the red dot and then I needed a pistol put it on. And thanks to AAF, American Ammo and Firearms, found a good deal on the Beretta. Well, and he's the reason I found a good deal on the optic. So, but I want to get it out to the range and shoot it some more. When I had originally put the sight on, the screws I had were the wrong size. They were metric, but it's not drilled for metric. And I talk about in the video that it's in the book, it's in the instruction manual, the size of the screws, the diameter, but it doesn't give the length. And that's what a lot of people complain about, is the screws aren't long enough. So you have to get longer screws. But when I was trying to figure out what size the screws are, I went to the internet instead of looking at the instruction manual and found a post, but they give the wrong size screw. So I thought I had stripped out the holes on the slide, but I had stripped the screws because they were slightly too small. But everything's all right now. It's probably more explanation than anybody wanted, but and finally got my log set up and threw those I think they're back there, those Smith & Wesson throwing knives. You have to throw them around for a while.
Do you still throwing them at the ground, or do you got it up in the air more?
It's still on the ground.
But you do that intentionally, or are you gonna put it up in the air?
I had thought about putting it up in the air, but then it's like, well, I don't. More effort than I wanted to put into it. But
you ever watch any people throw knives on YouTube?
Yeah.
You ever watch Xolet?
I couldn't tell you who I've watched.
Okay. There was this girl back in the day. I think she every once in a while she still does stuff, but she was like I think like a science teacher at a school. She had like she was a teacher, so she had like like an inherent like ability and need or interest or whatever in teaching. But she would always be buying different kind of knives and stars and throwing them. And first she was just doing it in her apartment, and then she got married, and then they got a house, and then she started throwing them in her backyard. And somewhere in there, she became like, I don't know, semi-professional. Like she went to events and stuff and like participated as a thrower. And anyway, I was just wondering if you'd seen her ship, because somewhere along the way, she did a thing where she took like a section of log, like, just a piece of log, put it up in the air. Let me just do this, I think is the easiest way to explain it. So if you took two pieces of log and went like this, and that was holding it up, and then the log was sitting like this, and these were like holding it up. So she'd have like, sawhorses holding, anyway, so then she could hit this log end on. And I was like, oh man, that's rugged. Like anything you miss, you're just hitting log. But you had all that end grain to hit, and that log would last lifetimes because it was so big. Like instead of just being a little disc of wood. Maybe they were discs of wood, it's just they were pretty thick. Anyway, I just have always thought about getting a piece of wood that's more, because I throw at a big piece of pine wood, like just a piece of lumber. I don't throw at the end grain like that. It's definitely the way to go, I think.
Yeah, the piece I have was just next to my kid's school. They had cut down some trees, so I grabbed one of the piece that was like 2 feet long.
We had a palm tree. You ever had palm tree? See what they're made out of?
No.
If you cut down a palm tree, the stalk or the trunk of it, I guess, it's like a billion straws glued together. Like it's very, whatever that word is, vascular. Yeah. So it's like a million straws glued together. So when you cut it in half, it's real mushy, and it'll take knives forever. It will eventually fall apart because it's like straws. But I have a chunk of palm tree that I wanted to chop up into, like what I'm talking about. Have like, problem is my palm tree was only less than 12 inches, so it's a small disc to throw at. It's not like a big old tree, that's 2 feet wide.
Yeah, after I did the short, and also did the video for that'll come out in December. But I was at work, and it's like my bicep is sore, but it's sore in a funny place, not usual. It's not soreness from work kind of sore. Couldn't figure it out until I got home and was looking out the window and realized it was from throwing knives. That my arm was sore.
Yeah, I imagine doing push-ups, pull-ups, punching and stuff is all good for knife throwing, using all your upper body.
There was a guy that I don't remember this channel name, but watching videos on YouTube, and his setup, he's got wood targets hanging on his wall, and he was talking about range and effectiveness, and he showed, from a certain range and thunk, thunk, thunk. But he's saying you move back this far and you start losing effectiveness. And, he'd move back and throw them. Then you could see as the knives don't hit as hard. And then eventually you move back a little bit and they wouldn't really stick because they're losing so much momentum. And the distance was less than you would expect for throwing a knife.
Yeah, there's probably some kind of curve, right? Like where your muscles are in the mass of the knife. Like there's only so much that can get out of that, right? So it probably ends pretty quick, or curves down really quick.
But I hadn't thrown knives since maybe high school. It's a long, long time ago.
Okay. Yeah, I set up this thing. It's like a 4x4 on a stand, and then at the chest height, face height, depending on how tall you are, I guess. There's another piece of wood. I guess it's probably 12 inches by 16 inches, and I drilled 4 holes in it, and I lashed it, like I tied it to the 4x4
because I figured I didn't want any spikes in my piece of wood that I'm
Yeah.
throwing knives at. So I just put rope, and I've never cut the rope yet. I've hit the rope a million times, but it's a big, giant, thick piece of rope, so it hasn't broke yet. And that's has taken. I mean, there's no way to count, but I've been using that for years. And for a while there, I would have that in the corner of my one room, and then I would just leave all the knives in a box over here. And whenever I felt like it, if I was walking around or whatever, like that, it was just a setup. I could just stop and wing a knife or throw a couple or whatever.
Gary
What I like
Booger's up
is
there.
moving around. I don't like standing in one spot and throwing knives. I like to walk around so that I get you comfortable with hitting no matter what the distance is, or at least a variable amount of distances.
Yeah, I kind of stuck to while I was doing the video. I started out kind of close and then would move back until I was somewhat consistent with sticking them, and then filmed from about that distance.
How many stars you got?
I don't have any right now.
Oh, dang. I got a lot. That's the
I
other
used-
reason I leave that piece of wood out, because I definitely dig throwing stars at it.
I used to, when I was a kid. I had a cabinet with a whole bunch of different stuff in it. My granddad
Never
made me
thought
a
about doing
cabinet.
cabinet.
Hung on the wall. I, had Psy and all my stars, and I forget what else I had in there.
Nunchucks.
Yeah.
Commas.
I never had commas.
I only had practice ones until recently. Well, actually, I still just have practice. No, wait. Do I have brown ones? I might have brown ones now, but I only had practice wooden ones. But I really, really like my wooden ones. Like a wooden practice sword.
Yeah.
Just made with commas instead of a sword. Yeah. Man, was those things neat. Because those kick the shit out of you. You ever read the book, The Ninja?
Larry Knopf is out there? No.
You know what I'm talking about? Have you heard of that book?
No.
It's a dumb name because it's such a vague word or whatever. But there's this book called The Ninja, came out in the 80s. And I think it's a series. But essentially, in that book at least, he talks about an art where you have a sword and a wooden sword. A doken or whatever it's called. And that's an actual thing. So you use the one wooden sword if you just need to beat the crap out of somebody. And then, of course, the sword if you don't need to, if you need to go further than that. But evidently it was a thing. So whenever I read that book and the ninja guy was running around with both a sword and a wooden sword, I was like, oh, I'm sold, because I already have 100 wooden swords, right? So I was like, God dang, that's just a real thing. So anyway, I've always liked wooden sword. And I nobody would let me get a bamboo one for some reason, because you smack each other with bamboo ones. And nobody, you never did anything with the wooden ones, really. But for whatever reason, I never got a bamboo sword until I was way older. And, I always had that goal or whatever as a kid.
Guns and Water said I'm Guns and Water on a borrowed phone. My post is under my Guns and Water login. Don't show up on your chat. Am I blocked? You are not blocked.
Interesting.
I'm not sure why it's not showing up, but I didn't block you.
Wonder why not. Maybe it's you didn't set it to age or something. Like
No.
anything else that you can restrict it. Otherwise, it would say on there, I think, if it was like members only or something, it'll say like members only mode activated or something. But I don't even think you could do that. You set it up through StreamYard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when we set these up through StreamYard, we don't have all the switches that we would have on a regular YouTube, where we could even turn people off. Like we can't prohibit or turn off anybody on a StreamYard stream.
You're saying it's been going on for 2 weeks.
Oh shit.
Huh. Yeah, because in general, I don't like to block people.
I don't know. The only thing I can think of is if it's some kind of a super weird thing, like log out of your YouTube and log back into your YouTube. If somehow the YouTube has glitched on his channel. But, I mean, I've never heard of that, and I'm just throwing a random fix for a lot of stuff out there. it just happened once, I'd say, yeah, you know, something weird is happening. But if it's been happening for a while, that's odd.
Let me. Oh, let me see if I can figure this out here. On the left side. I don't know where the blocked.
It's under the whatever they call the studio. It's over on the left. And then I got to open it up. It's under the one called settings. It's like a gear
Settings.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then community.
Community.
Yeah, it's in there. You have to scroll down. And then-
Huh. Actually, for some reason, he is in there. Let me.
Oh, maybe somebody accidentally or inadvertently clicked you then.
So I think I have. Try it now, because I got you hopefully unblocked.
I have so many people in the hidden thing. It's crazy.
Yeah, because
But I also have 12 managing moderators and dozens of regular moderators. But of these moderators,
there he is. All right. Yeah, somebody might have accidentally clicked on you when they're trying to click on something else. I don't know, but so looks like you're good now. So sorry about that. No, I've never had a problem with you. Yeah, Larry's asking where do you get merch? Merch? I don't have merch other than like stickers and patches. I'll bring you some stickers. I don't really have merch. Not a merch kind of guy.
I had a sneezing fit all of a sudden. I keep sneezing.
Yeah, I don't, I'm not monetized or anything, so that's not my thing. You just being here is enough support.
All right, I think I'm done sneezing.
That was weird. You ever have a sneezing fit where you just keep sneezing for like an hour?
Not really.
Kind of annoying after a while.
2 or 3, I'm usually done. But, I'm kind of sneezer. When you sneeze, you're almost likely to blow out a rib when I sneeze. Guns and Water said, channel logo is cool, though. Should have a hat or mug.
Well, you're wearing a hat. That's probably why they're asking.
Well, yeah, this is the only one. I bought it just to wear during the chats because my hair is messy. So there's consistency in my hair because kind of looking back at the old videos, you'd see different length hairs and my hair at different lengths, and I didn't like it. So I wear a hat. I don't know. Maybe I'll do. Oh, God, I still have a She Fires mug to give away. Yeah, back when I became a member of her channel, I'm only a dollar member, and she's like, "Oh, I'll send you a mug." It's like, so I bought a couple mugs, so she wouldn't send me a mug because it would take her over a year to make up the difference. The
Yeah, it would
cost
take
of
you
the
like
mug.
3 years, probably $30 to send a mug or something. Yeah.
Yeah, I appreciate. She really
Well, it's probably
appreciates
also
her.
you're a creator. You're somebody else who's making videos, so there's a reason to send you a mug. Unless she was doing that for everybody.
She kind of does it for everybody, but and I wanted to tell her, hey, it's great that you really appreciate, and she really does appreciate her channel members, but she's giving out more than she's bringing in, which kind of defeats the purpose of doing the channel memberships. Yeah, She Fires is an awesome lady and a great
Yeah, I
story.
mean, it's not. There's more than one uh, reason to have channel memberships too, though. So for some people, it's not about creating a source of income as much as a community or a bunch of people that are advocates or whatever. So I can see investing in that uh, element of uh, whatever. In other words, if you don't intend the thing to be a huge audience and you're not just trying to stoke buyers or consumers or viewers, right? Like you're just trying to appreciate people that are hanging out and being part. Then
But yeah, and
I'm not going
I
to
don't,
advocate it all the time, but I guess I could see the concept, right?
and I don't really think it seems for her is kind of like with Gary and some other channels that we know, where it's not, they don't use the memberships as a second income. It's
No,
they put what they bring in back into the channel, and it allows them to buy stuff for the channel, or to afford range trips and stuff like that, rather than doing memberships to buy a car.
well, unless somebody has
Fancy
hundreds
stuff.
and hundreds of members at multiple dollars, then having 13 members at $1 a piece is
Yeah.
$13 a month. It's not an income. It's just I don't know. It's a participatory thing, but that's where you can tell. Some people have $1 memberships. I don't bother with $1. I don't think on YouTube because YouTube takes 30 cents, so it's sort of a waste to have
Yeah.
$1 one. But yeah, so like I say, some people will start them at 5 or only offer $10 memberships. Like that's to achieve a purpose, like you're saying, like pay a bill or something. But things add up. I'm hundreds of dollars a month. I just did my, what do you want to call it, like math, I guess, on all the different subscriptions because I wanted to get a couple more subscriptions, and it's so easy to add. Oh, it's just $25 a month. I have extra money in the bank right now. I'm going to go ahead and add that subscription to the pile. So I started going through, like for example, the robot, the brain. What do you call it? AI. I'm paying essentially $32 for 2 different brains, and for me, that's worth it. I use them all the time, and I like being able to monitor as they're getting faster and what they can do in their performance and stuff. But if I had to start cutting, what do you call cutting corners, that would be one of the ones to get off the. They'd be one of the first to get sacrificed from the critical list or whatever. But that's the other side of it. When you have subscribers, you're allowed to bring on things that you would normally not be able to just like have the luxury of adding to your channel if you're not trying to make money with your channel.
Yeah.
And that's where it can be kind of neat, especially for people that are going to be around for a little while.
Yeah, and I don't have problems with anybody monetizing their channels or memberships and stuff like that. It's just for me, I chose not to do it. I have a lot more flexibility to do what I want to do. I don't want to call it a burden, but when you got when you got sponsorships and the memberships and stuff, then there's the obligation there that I don't have to worry about. I mean, it will absolutely limit channel growth because there's stuff that I can't do because I'm, self-funded, but I'm okay with that because I'd rather have the freedom to do what I want to do when I want to do. And I don't have to worry about anything else.
The freedom to have brackets every show.
Yeah, no bracket tonight. I'm out of bracket fuel.
The big corporate shows have brackets sometimes twice a show, and they'll often have a take-home bracket for people that can play at home.
My bracket runs on Ukrainian fuel. It's got a special additive, and right now it's tough to get it in with everything going on over there since mine is a surplus Cold War Soviet. Guns and Water said, G-Webs, you should put out a Bacon Bits calendar with those AI generated pictures of him. They turn out really nice.
I probably could. Problem is, I put all those in a big pile, and I have so many of them now. How would I pick 12? I guess I could do a bunch of polls or something. What do you call it? The one on Twitter is pretty good. But the new one, the ChatGPT 4 is getting pretty good too because I'm trying to remember last time I tried to do guns on it, but because it'll remember, so you tell it make a picture, and then you can say like, no, get rid of that microphone, or no, now give them a gun, or make them look in the other way, or you can say stuff, and then it'll do that to the same picture. And not always the same picture. I shouldn't say that. It won't take the same picture, but it'll make a similar picture doing whatever you just suggested. So it is kind of neat. You get some pretty well. You can get way more accurate to what you had in mind than just a few months ago.
Yeah, the Microsoft Copilot is the one that I use because it's free and it was just appeared on my computer one day.
Microsoft will give you 4 at a time, and they really do good pictures. I mean, they all do good pictures now, but they do good guns, I should say.
It does pretty good, and a lot of times it will be really close, and then I just need to do a little tweaking. And then sometimes I'll ask it to tweak something, and basically it's like, nope, I'm going to give you this.
Now, how about this one instead? And it's blue and purple instead of whatever it was. Yeah, it's like, fucker.
Yeah, there was one where I did a cowboy. I told it to do a human cowboy, a pug, a chicken, and I think the mouse, and it made the cowboy a dog. So I said, make the cowboy a human cowboy, and it made the cowboy a dog. And then I asked it, why can't you make a human cowboy? And, it said, I'll get right on that. And it made the cowboy a dog. And then sometimes when I'm trying to tweak it, it'll go back to previous pictures and then give me a variation of something it did, a couple times ago, randomly. Overall, I'm happy with it. It's free. And, I can usually get out of it what I want.
Or like a pleasant surprise. Like, oh, you know what? I asked you something and you took it this direction, but I'll take that. Like, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
See, I'm
That has
using
happened.
Bing Image Creator. I'm guessing they're the same thing, right? Didn't we figure out they're pretty much the same thing?
I don't remember. Might have.
They look kind of the same. But yeah, it is pretty neat.
I will say I have not fully embraced the AI revolution. I am using it for my own ends and means. But I'm still not going to trust it.
Oh, they're idiots right now. I mean, I get what you're saying, but it's not whatever they call. There's another name for AI that's self-aware or whatever. Something else, AIU or SAI or something. That's like a different AI. What we have now is it's like R2D2s. They're not going to take over the world.
Yeah, I
They're-
watched a video with a big explanation on why AI is not intelligence,
I mean,
which
it's
made me
close,
feel better.
It's neat, but yeah, it's not. We're playing with the toys still. When we have quantum, is much more pronounced, then we're in trouble. But it also, the people that hate AI will point to how much energy it takes for AI to exist. Because of all the computer power it takes, it's pretty bad for the environment or whatever. But that's vulnerability. Like AI could never take over the world at this point because we wouldn't even have to pull the plug. Like it would run out of juice. Like it wouldn't have enough power to run it right now. But once we get to that quantum step, all bets are off. And that's where it's going to love, and this is probably just the beginning. But once you get to the idea of a tool building a tool, once it gets close to being self-aware, it'll make itself self-aware, right? Like it'll just
Then you've got
conclusion.
a robot skeleton standing on a pile of human skulls.
That's inevitable. But, you're either going to teach kids how to take out robots, in video games and whatever is fun, or they're going to have to learn when they're living in tunnels.
Mr. G Webs, is there anything you want to plug? Anything you got coming up? Are you going to get back to whatnotting?
You're going to imagine how much stuff I have to whatnot. So, yeah, I'm going to do a different strategy on whatnot. Hopefully get rid of a bunch of stuff. And I can't imagine. I probably should already have been doing it. So, that's got to be my number one priority at some point. I need both the money and to get rid of this stuff. So, definitely be watching over there. I'm just tired. I had a bunch of deadlines. I had a bunch of things that going on that just all sort of ended. So now it makes more sense. It's more practical to be doing the whatnot. So I've kind of dabbled in it, and I've also had little success over there, only bits of success. And I like what it can do, but I also want to be able to give my Patreons like a massive advantage, and whatnot doesn't let me do that. Or at least I haven't found how to do that. So it's not perfect because I'm going to be giving stuff away for nothing. I just want to get rid of it, and I don't really necessarily want to just give it to. There's one or two thrift stores that I like, but I don't get any. What's the word? Like tax credit or advantage to just give the stuff away. So if I'm going to give the stuff away, I'd rather give it to my Patreons. But I can't figure out how to do that on whatnot. It's other than
when they changed the tax code a couple years ago, they basically killed. They changed the bracket so we can't deduct it, our donations anymore. So it doesn't really work out.
Yeah, that's what my accountants are telling me, that you could give away. I know people that have given away tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff. I don't have that. Well, I don't think I have that much stuff to give away, but if I had a bunch of TVs and stuff or somehow, like if Savivi's always sending us knives, and I like some of them, but I don't like all of them, so I'll sell them, right? But if I was getting TVs and stuff and I literally just had too much stuff and I wanted to donate tens of thousands of dollars worth of stuff, or if they're giving me cars or something, you don't get any advantage from I don't know why they would do that, but I imagine that severely affected donations, right? Like that was a big reason people would donate. I think some people aren't necessarily, what's the word? Like, what's a word for that? But anyway, interested in giving as much as interested in not paying taxes.
Yeah, for me, it's if it's something that's still in good working order, I hate to just throw it away. And I know, like giving to the Goodwill, they're technically a charity, but they're not really that great of a charity.
They're
But
really
I'm
not.
okay with that because somebody's going to get use
Yeah,
out of
Exactly. You're not throwing the thing away that's useful. Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But I'd much rather give it to the local ones that I like because I enjoy digging around in a thrift store. So I'd rather give it to the thrift stores. Plus, the thrift stores here are like have, actual, I guess charities is the way to say it, but they have organizations and projects that they work with. Philanthropic, yeah, that's what I was thinking of things. Can we go back? Do you have to shut it down right now?
No, we don't.
Because if
You
Guns
have
and
more.
Warriors asking how to make the AIs work, then I'm down for getting somebody else to learn how to work an AI picture.
Sure, we can.
If you go to this, if I put a link in here, I think it still turns into a link for viewers, right? Like, but if that link works for you, see if you have an account with Microsoft. Probably you probably have. This is like if you click on that link, does it take you to your image thing, or is it? I know you're using one on your computer or whatever. So I don't know if this is just open or if I'm logged into this. Essentially, is what I'm saying. But this is a good one for guns and stuff. Like they don't do all guns, but they'll do guns.
It took me here.
To let you start putting in things.
Yeah, because when I clicked on that, it there's a few tabs, and then if you click over to the one that says Copilot, that's the AI.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, it looks different for me. So, but essentially, you just typing stuff in there, and then the fun of it is, like, you give it a command, but the more precise your command will be, or the more elaborate, or I guess precise, then
Let me see if I
the
can.
more it can do. But you can also give it kind of like wild cards, so you can say like, in the style of, and recommend something.
So this is on both my desktop and my laptop have Copilot on the menu
There you go.
bar. So this isn't from the link, but it's basically the same thing.
Or is it
So
just Microsoft's engine? So it's Microsoft's
Yeah.
brain instead of Google's brain instead of Twitter's brain.
so like
But it's pretty-
for the overnight, I'll tell it draw a realistic mouse with sunglasses and leather jacket.
And this is Microsoft, but you can also go to Twitter and pay, and they'll let you use theirs. And there's others out there. There must be
Oh.
other free ones.
It says I got to sign in. I'm not. Well,
But that's what it looked like. The link when you clicked on the link, that's what it looked like. 'Cause that looks best.
basically look the same.
Or maybe I just have it set to dark mode or nighttime mode. That must be what it is.
Because I'll show you what I'm looking at. When I click on the link, I get this. And then to get to where you can actually make pictures, I got to go over to the Copilot.
Oh, okay.
So let me see if it'll let me do it from here without signing in. Draw a realistic. I like the look of the pictures when I put real. Tell it to do realistic.
Right, because then and you'll figure out, like, if you were to say do this in a realistic way, it'll probably look different than when you say draw a realistic, right? Like you'll figure out how that robot works or reacts, maybe is the word, I don't know. But obviously you could switch out realistic.
Fuck.
Lame.
Need to sign in.
Does it let you screen capture your normal thing that you're using on your computer?
Well, I had it. If it wants me to sign in. I'm not signed in on this computer. On the desktop, it's already all signed in, so I just turn it on. And I don't know if I remember my sign in. Yeah,
No, that's
I
fine.
guess probably don't want to do that while sharing.
But I'm saying, do you have a way to screen share just your computer screen when you're doing the one on your computer? But Gunswire's saying you got to be logged in. That's the first problem. Yeah, for sure. If you don't want a Microsoft account, I get it. The other one I use is Twitter. Has a really good one, but that's $7 a month to be able to have access to it. So that's money, not just a login. The Microsoft one is free. You just got to log in. And then there's Bard. So ImGen 3 has arrived. All right, so Gemini is Google's version. See if this one works for you on a browser. And you got to be logged in, but you only have to be logged into Google for this one. But all of them want you to be logged in because there's going to be some sort of responsibility for the images you're making. You're getting to use these image generators for free, but obviously they're getting something out of this deal. They're learning and they're getting some what's the word, like insight as to what people would want an image generator for.
Well, it didn't have me when it said log in. I just put in my email. It didn't have me do my password. So let me show you what it came up with: a realistic mouse, sunglasses.
So it didn't have a strong login. It just let you start using it. Good.
And then you can, I can tell it, make it cooler.
And then you could be like, put him on a motorcycle in the desert, or put him in an airplane above Las Vegas.
It made it cooler.
Oh, shit, he put a gun in his hand. He put a 9mm in his hand. Nice.
Wonder if it just knows, because that I will ask it to do guns sometimes, so maybe that's why it gave it a gun.
Finger on the trigger too, because you don't give a shit.
And then sometimes it'll give you suggestions for prompts.
Well, that's another fun thing to do, is to tell one to give you a suggestion for a prompt and then put that prompt into the other one. Sometimes I've seen people get really good results with specific prompts. Oh, I was just going to say, that's what it looks like when I go to the same link. So I don't know why. I think it's because over here, I have it set to dark mode or something. But anyway, this was make a pug use AI to build websites. So just put a nerd pug on a desk, I guess. And then it lets me download them. Well, I guess I could have downloaded them any way I want, but it makes it pretty easy to download and look through them. And then over here, it keeps track of all the other ones you've looked at or that you've made.
Mr. Bob saying, try the human cowboy again. It did. I did eventually get it to make a human cowboy, but
it'll get in a glitch. Like, it'll just get to where it's like, I think this was Does it say the prompt up here? Are you watching GRPC this weekend? Yes, excited for it. And it doesn't have any idea what it is, so it tried to make it sports, I guess. But look at how crazy random. I mean, I gave it a goofy, dumbass prompt, but I did that kind of intentionally to see what it would give me. And it just gave me like a weird variety, like a random assortment.
I'm going to switch.
Yeah, go ahead.
I asked the AI to draw Mr. Bob Dabalina. And this is what the AI thought Mr. Bob Dabalina looked like.
What's weird is you could put that on a mug and somebody would buy that mug. It's kind of like Mozart, kind of.
So we'll say add Auntie. Oop. I'm not sure how to spell Griselda.
It's literally in the thing. Just go scroll back.
Add Auntie Griselda. Oh, I spelled it wrong. Oh well.
They tried.
So let me try draw Mr. Bob Dabalina and Auntie Griselda.
But you're being super vague, and that's the real trick to AI. The more specific you can be, then the more it can attempt to do what you want. So if you said that, but then added, that's weird, kind of like Muppets a little bit. I'm looking at it more, but that's pretty good. But if you were to say like in the mat, like drawn like the Muppets, or well, you put draw, so it immediately went to art, I think. But if you would have said like a photograph of Bob Dabalina, right? And then if you would have said like in this case they're sitting in a chair, but if you would have said sitting in a love seat or sitting in a, what is that thing called, a wheel, Ferris wheel, on Long Island or whatever, like you can be more specific and it'll get pretty crazy.
So we'll tell it to make it realistic looking. See what it does with that.
And then also you can right click and make them way bigger looking, because everybody's looking at it on a tiny little dot. It's kind of realistic looking, I guess.
Looks like Hillary Clinton. Does Auntie Griselda look like Hillary Clinton? Which one is more realistic, Bob?
So give it more like some kind of qualifiers, like riding bikes in the World War II, or kayaking in the islands, or what I mean, like give them some thing that they're doing, so it'll be.
So we'll put them in a hot air balloon over Arizona.
And if you put like, Seattle, it'd probably put the needle in there. Like it'll do something to identify it, right?
It put them on a balloon.
Yeah. Well, I mean, realistically, though, like, how else is it going to put those two people in a balloon, right? Like, it'll just look like dots. So they actually interpreted it pretty good. Or you could say, like, are in a car chase or something, or, you can You can get pretty crazy with it. Selling stuff at a carnival, or one's make one a cop and one a firefighter or something.
Zelda fighting a horde of space how do you spell Chihuahua? CHI Hua.
I would just type it and then it'll get the little red line and then fix it for me. So I'll let the robot spell everything for me.
So
Microsoft's got to give you spell check. But the robots pretty much know. Every time I have like a typo or it's just spelled something horribly, they still figure it out. Well, that's pretty good. It actually did really good. I would totally be saving that one.
they made it a movie poster.
Oh, that's one I did for a while. I would say all of that on a movie poster on a brick wall, and then it looked really neat because then it looked like, you know, a movie poster on a brick wall version of the picture you wanted. And then I left the on a movie poster on a brick wall, and I would just keep changing out, you know, what it was.
Yeah, Guns N' Water said I was just playing with it.
I think, will it time you out? I only get 15 times, and then it'll slow down. And so that kind of enforces you to quit playing with it after a while because it slows down. Does this version that you're using slow down after a while?
I don't know because I usually just use it long enough to do the picture I need.
Yeah, I'll definitely will go down, you know, from listening to somebody's chat usually or something like that. You know, when I'm going to be sitting there for a minute, I'll go down some threads. But like I say, usually they just slow down. They don't stop.
Oops. Let's see what it does if I say draw Larry Knopf. Is it just one F enough? Where's Larry? Yeah. Draw Larry Knopf.
And then say buying merch from a mouse. Actually, that's a pretty good image.
It is. It's not too far off from what Larry looks like.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I wonder if this thing is really grabbing images.
We'll say make him cooler.
You should say make him, you go up there and copy and paste make him fighting off hordes of space chihuahuas.
That made him a cooler.
That's awesome. That was excellent. They're smart, but they're also stupid. That's really good, but it's also 100% wrong.
Draw Larry Knopf as a getaway driver in Europe.
For Dom Donalina and Griselda. Is it going to put him in the mini?
Uh-oh. Didn't like that.
You can slightly tweak that usually.
Maybe it was like thought it was
took
a
away your
criminal
stuff,
act.
even copy and paste. Yeah, exactly. But you could just say driving recklessly in Europe.
Yeah, we'll do
Can you copy and
draw.
paste that?
Yeah, I'll just type it. Knopf as a stunt driver in France.
It's definitely going to be a mini jumping over the.
With Mr. Bob Dabolina and Auntie Griselda. Abigail Sorsha Finnegan's out there. Oop. That looks like a picture.
He didn't even say like in 1910, but it was like he probably meant 1910. And it threw in a baby, because why not? If you're going to be stunt driving in France, might as well bring your baby.
I mean, if you saw, there's no way you would not know that's not a photograph, other than nonsense words written on the car.
No, because it's French. So how are we going to know if that's nonsense or not? Put Larry Knopf as like Blade Runner or something. That's a fun thing to jam people up into movies, or jam things up into movies.
We'll say put instead of make. Put Larry Knopf in the movie
So
Blade
as soon
Runner.
as I put that in there, I'm like, I wonder if it'll take Blade Runner.
Was Blade Runner 2 words or 1 word?
I put it in as 2 words, but yeah, it did. It took it for me. It gave me a weird 80s synth version of a pug, but I'm keeping all of them.
It gave me text. Larry Knopf and Blade Runner, can't quite get him there. How about a scene inspired by that iconic style?
See, because you're not allowed to say Blade Runner on Microsoft, but yeah, say yes. Just say yes.
Okay. Yes.
So essentially that'll do that once in a while on Twitter also, or on other ones, I guess. It'll say, I really can't do that, but I can do something similar. And then you go, okay.
Yeah, that's not it.
Yeah. Maybe that was like while they were filming Blade Runner and hanging out with a bunch of dudes in a car. Some old lady.
I think it kind of looks to me like it took the last picture and tweaked it.
Maybe.
But there we can show what you're doing over there.
Neither one of these really hit Blade Runner. But I do like these. Like these would all be great for like a Facebook or whatever, not Facebook, Twitter header. Like they want a big vertical header. This thing here looks like I could put it in a t-shirt or something, except that it's a all black pug.
Yeah, that's kind of the one thing I wish I could change is the pictures are square.
Yeah.
So when I do thumbnails, I'll just take a dark color and then add that to a background to make it wider.
Say when you're making the thing. So now I have to click X, and then I can go up here and go a wide shot of, and sometimes that'll pull it back. Or like I was saying before, like if I like something, I'll say make it a movie poster on a wall, and then by nature it'll have to pull it back so that it shows the wall and everything, and then you'll be able to pull a narrow slice out of it. That looks a
Yeah,
lot
because
more
I've
like better.
I've tried to ask it to give it the format size that I want, and it
Yeah, they're not there yet for whatever reason, which is annoying, especially the ones that shouldn't care. I mean, why should any of them care? There was one Mid Journey was inside of Discord, so I had to use Discord for that. And it was, how there's Discord bots. They somehow made AI or Mid Journey into an AI bot inside of Discord, and that one had to be squares because of the way the Discord works or whatever. Yeah, I said a very wide shot, and it came up with less and less Blade Runner. So then that's the problem too, is you're trying to tweak, and it'll take you all night just to get close to what you want, even if you don't take tangents off, and whatever. Play with some of the, because you'll. I don't know if this happened to you, but it happens to me all the time. I'll be doing something, it'll give me some off the wall result, and that'll give me an idea to do something else. And I'll be like, oh, you know what? Well, give me this then. Like all of a sudden there's a cowboy involved, and you're like, oh, wait, I never thought about putting a cowboy in there. So make the plug into a cowboy. And, now I'm off on another tangent, and I never finished the first one.
I said draw Guns and Water as a Sith Lord, and it said, all right, your Sith Lord inspired Guns and Roses is on its way. May the rock be with you.
Guns and Roses. Weird. They can't read water, I guess. Maybe I thought you were typoed it.
Wonder if I tell it not Guns and Roses. I want guns and water.
Wait, because you put it together.
Well, it said your Guns and Water Sith Lord is coming up.
All right.
It just gave me Kylo Ren.
Yeah, like there you go. How about some lightning? And it literally looks just like that guy.
Wonder if what happens if I say draw. Now I gotta.
Now here's a tip: if you're ever going to use these things for any reason, and if you type in there like draw it look like Star Wars, and then you use that picture for something, Star Wars gets a cut because you use Star Wars in the description. So if you say draw it like a sci-fi movie, nobody can say they get a cut of whatever you're making. So, well, I don't know if that's marketing or a little copyright type of thing. What do you think? What is, while you're typing there, what do you think of the idea that since these go out and look at so many pictures and then create these images based on other images, is this copyright? Is this, what's the word? Is this violating copyright, or is this a separate thing? I guess it's the same as like, does a rap song that samples another song, is that a new thing, or is it a rip off of the first thing? Like, does the first thing, do they owed something because they made the second thing?
Well, I think number one would depend on if you're making money off it. And if you're doing a parody, then it falls under parody laws.
And then if you're doing education, it would be similar to parody, right? Like, hey, I'm just using this as an example, and this is an illustration of my thesis.
Even then, there's channels that, like, there's a music channel that I watch, and he'll go and he'll break down. I'll fix that in a second here, Abigail. Sorry. music and basically completely break down the song. And he's gotten copyright strikes doing that. You know, just playing clips of the songs. Or there's even bands where you mention the band name, and then he's gotten in trouble for that.
Lame.
What should we make Abigail? Draw Abigail as what?
She probably love being a Smurf, but I don't know how you'd make a Smurf like cartoon. Maybe.
We'll
I tried forever to get it to make me a comic book, but it was months ago and it was super stubborn. I don't know if they'd be any easier to make in a comic book with them. It was like, you know what? I'm not going to make it a cartoon. I'm going to paint somebody blue. I feel like it came really, really close though.
So I don't know, Abigail. Does that look like you?
Now fighting a giant cat. Everybody remember the cat's name?
Azrael.
A lot of years watching that. There was something boring on against Smurfs, so I ended up watching Smurfs all the time. Can't remember what was up against it. I'm going to ask my robot if it'll tell me, if it knows. What was up against? I can't remember how supposed Smurfs.
So I said make her fighting a big cat and a man in a ragged brown robe. It's a big cat.
Oh, snap, dude. I go, what was up against the Smurfs cartoon in the 1980s? And my robot tells me. I don't know if it's right or not, but it could be. That did pretty good. Who's the giant Yeti or whatever?
I don't know. It kind of made it look like Star Wars.
So it says Bugs Bunny Roadrunner, which it could have been because I didn't like watching that. He-Man, which I don't believe was on Saturday, so I think that's fake. Super Friends. I probably would have watched that instead of Smurfs, so I don't know if that was the case. Care Bears. There's no way I would have watched that. Flintstone Kids. I don't even remember that being a thing. Is that a real show? And then Inspector Gadget. That was not on Saturday morning, so this is where robots are giving you an answer, but it's a fake answer. So Inspector Gadget was on after school. That looks a lot more. Well,
I just said give her green eyes, and I changed it to this.
Yeah, that looks like she's starring in a movie, like what do you call it? Like well, one of those movies where you fall into the game or whatever. Show that to George. Good thing he's not here. He'd have all kinds of crazy dreams.
Let me do one more. Draw Zippy. 9898. What should we have Zippy doing? Flying.
I was going to say making mashed potatoes. Flying a kite?
As a World War II, which plane? Mustang.
Corsair.
Corsair.
Those are the coolest planes, I think.
fighting. What should he be fighting?
Giant robot lizard. It never really gives me a good giant robot lizard, but I keep asking.
Lizard accountants.
Nice. You certainly gave it an easy one.
It did correct my spelling of Corsair. It didn't give us a Corsair, but
No.
I still like it.
Like some kind of English plane.
Looks like he's playing the accordion.
Well, he's doing some kind of calculations. Obviously, lizards count differently than we do. But if you really want to enhance it, so that's how you basically interface with it. But if you really want to enhance it, you go over to another one, like a regular, well, any of them really, that can do just words. And you say, give me a, you take that description, you say, give me a prompt, and then you give it a description of a picture. And then it will come up with a much more elaborate, like a paragraph to give to the robot. And then you can look at that paragraph and get all kinds of ideas and then like adjust it and tweak it and then put that in. Like now imagine if you put a paragraph of description in there, it'll give you a lot less random and it'll give you a lot more exactly what you want and a lot less, well, I guess, the unexpected.
Yeah, that's somewhere I still struggle a little bit is with prompts. Partly because I'm lazy and I don't want to type out all the prompts.
When I first started, it would be a lot of hashtag, like they were all proprietary still. So you'd put like @ or hashtag or like some other thing, and then it would be, just a bunch of different factor descriptions and stuff, and it'd say like widescreen, high res. So there's that too. You can add descriptors, and maybe that's the right word, like at the end of your prompt or anywhere in your prompt really, but at the end makes sense for humans, and give it a bunch of hints like where you want it to go, and being again more and more specific really gets a result. Like if you say like a famous painter, but then if you say like Rembrandt, then you're going to get, or like Picasso. I'm trying to think of somebody who makes like a unique picture. But if you say like a specific painter, you're going to get a much more specific result than just saying like a famous painter or a painting even. But anyway, yeah, thanks for it took a while, but I think we got guns water figuring out how to play with that. Hopefully
it's
waste time with it.
It's fun to play with, and it can turn into a bit of a rabbit hole when just seeing what it can do. And
how long you've been doing it? Because the other factor is you do that. I think it's worth anybody doing it, especially with others, with people that are you want to hang out with or just want to explore this with. You do it today, and then you do it 6 months from now, and then you do it 2 years from now, and it's crazy. Like I don't know when I started playing with the robot picture makers, but I mean, you remember, like they were nightmares. Like it made the weirdest. It was not even good. It was just crazy interesting because it was so.
I've only been
wild.
Doing it probably a couple months, maybe a few months, because I was doing a thumbnail for overnight, and I didn't have a lot of time, and I was kind of tired because I'll come home from work and then set up the chats. And so I didn't feel like making a picture. So I tried out the AI, and I was kind of blown away with what it was giving me. And so I've been using it since. Gunswater said, "Don't forget to support Toby in the Massachusetts fight." Their book of anti-gun law.
So you've been paying attention or hearing what's going on, that they had this horrible law. They were going to do a petition. They got 90,000
Yeah.
signatures on the petition. And then the governor said, nope, it's an emergency. Your petitions don't matter. We're doing the law anyway. But parts of the law don't even take effect until 2026 because we haven't figured out how to pay for them. So it's this like back and forth of weirdness. So today, Toby goes live on his regular Wednesday show. Did you hear about this by any chance?
No.
Because he posted about it on Instagram. He, I think he said today, he gets a delivery in the mail, and it's from the governor, and it's a nice, what do you call it, like rigid envelope or whatever. He opens it up, and it's a commendation from the governor. So a nice certificate type of piece of paper in a, not a framed thing, but like a presentation folder, like a nice thing with velvet and all that. And it's from the governor, and it says essentially, to Toby, for your effort for keeping the rights of the Commonwealth, or the citizens of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, like, in your forefront, or like, working for the rights of the people. And he's like, how do I interpret this? Like, is this a big FU? Is this like some kind of inside joke? Is this like we don't agree with you, but we value your shit, so here's whatever? And then or because the organization that they created to fight this is called the Civil Rights Organization or something like that. He's thinking that maybe they just saw the name of the organization and assumed that it was something Democrat, essentially, like something that the governor would get political points for giving him a kudos. But anyway, it was just like, he's just psyched. He doesn't know what to think of this, like, showing up in the mail. Or I guess another option would be somebody just making a joke or forging it and making it, to make it like a.
It's hard to tell with the inefficiencies of government. They might not even know, what one hand is doing.
Oh, for sure, right? Like, and like he says, like, I could totally see it being something where an intern says, "Oh, an organization was created, and it's called the Civil Rights Organization." Sounds like something the governor would appreciate, and who owns it? Oh, this guy, or like, who's the person on the list? This guy. Okay, let's send him a certificate. It costs them nothing; it's taxpayer dollars. But then he was thinking it's also could be somebody who's like, you know what? F you, dude. Like, we're going to send you this just to show you, like, we don't care about your 90,000 petitions.
I wouldn't know how to take that either.
Like little, but, huh?
I said I wouldn't know how to take that either.
But I guess somebody on the news heard about it and is going to inquire to the mayor or governor and find out, if there's any whatever further.
They're probably just going to get a generic,
we send those over there, we appreciate, or some shit.
Yeah. Anyway, so
thanks for the tangent there.
Is there anything else you want to plug?
Let's get into 550 cord weaving and paracord projects. We got some time here. Let's start off on that.
Yes, I have still been doing some tactical macrame.
Oh, well, let me ask this, since I'm actually bringing it up. Have you done a monkey fist yet? Have you gotten into the monkey fist? Are you planning on it?
I don't know. There's still some other stuff. I'm trying to work on a weave that gives me a good lattice to stitch in letters. That's kind of where I'm at right now.
Oh well, you can make really really wide friendship bracelet type of things or whatever.
Well, I know, but
Sorry, they're called
this-
survival bracelets now. Right.
when you're stitching in the letters, if it falls into a crevice, that thread kind of disappears. So I'm still working
Have
on.
you seen some of the diamond ones? There's some like diamond shaped-ish kind of things where you kind of do the whole thing at a slant so that it becomes like a slant instead of an up and down, like instead of a grid.
That might be more what I'm looking for. Yeah.
Look
but-
for the snake ones because they kind of mimic the snake pattern sometimes.
So yeah, I ordered. I have some glow in the dark thread, but it's not very good. It doesn't glow, but
Oh, interesting. You know, like you sent me a thing of glow in the dark thread for the embroidery machine, but that would never work. It's way too thin. But you can triple, double. You know the deal. Like you can do one. What's the word? Like strand. But if
Yeah.
you did 6 strands, you're allowed to do that as long as it'll fit through the needle. And you can get big needles. You don't need like a sewing needle. You need a big leather needle or whatever.
well,
you
right
could
now
put, like,
I'm
6 or 8 strands through there, or braid that stuff. You know, if you've got thin wire or thin cord, you could braid it, put 2 or 3 together, and braid it into 6. You know, and now that braid would be a big glow in the dark thread cable
Yeah.
cord.
what the problem isn't the thickness. It's just it does not give off a lot of light because if you take the whole pack, you know, I haven't tried putting a flashlight right on it, but leaving the pack just out, you know, for hours and then take it into the
There's
dark
just not
bathroom.
enough mass to, and it only absorbs some. Like it's
Yeah,
not made.
so it barely glows.
Yeah. Well, that might just
And
be
the color itself is okay. It's kind of a pale green, so almost yellowish. So you know the color on its own is okay, but it's just I was hoping for a little more out of it, a little better glow. But you know I didn't know. I was just kind of trying out different stuff.
But yeah, without getting too far into it, the monkey fists are a lot of fun once you figure out. They're pretty simple. They take time because you have to like get kind of the hang of it, and once you get the hang of it, you can't stop making them because they're so fun. You could put a ball bearing in there and big
Yeah.
bolt or nut or something, and then or a golf ball or something, make them different sizes.
But so is there anything else you want to plug?
Ice skating, but I guess we'll talk about that next show.
Yeah. I never did the banner. Shoot, I forgot the banner. But if you watch this replay, leave a comment. Anything we talked about, agree with, disagree with, let me know. Do you play with AI? Does AI play with you? For those that were in the side chat, I appreciate you showing up and participating. And if you were watching, didn't say anything, I appreciate you too. Don't be afraid to speak up. Let me know you're out there. This is an off weekend, so no chat this weekend. So the next chat is next Wednesday. And I guess that's everything. So I hope everybody has a good rest of the night and go do something good.